marks the 46th anniversary of Black History Month, first started as Negro History Week under the brainchild of historian and scholar Carter G. Woodson. And it's a time where we don't just focus on or even talk about slavery, but the achievements of African Americans throughout history. And we lift up their voices and we remember the path that they laid. Well, here to talk about what the White House and the administration is going to be doing to commemorate this month, I'm so excited to have with us Trey Baker. He is the White House Senior Advisor for Public Engagement. Hi, Trey. Thanks for joining us.
Hey, Ebony, really happy to be here. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. This is the first time you've been on the record, so I'm excited.
Oh, yeah, me too.
Well, let's jump in. How is the White House commemorating this Black History Month?
So, Black History Month is incredibly important. It's a time for us to be able to lift up the achievements, celebrate just how far the African American community has come, and really start being forward looking at what the Black community will be doing. And so this year, we're really going to push on our overall lens of racial equity and driving those principles home. So you mentioned Carter G. Woodson. He started the Association for the Study of African American Life and History, ASALH. And they are our partners, and we're always happy to work with them. And so we have derived our theme from their annual theme. This year, it's Black Health and Wellness. And so we're going to be taking a look at throughout the whole month at Black wellness in all the ways that it comes, whether it's physical or mental wellness, environmental, economic, financial, or cultural and spiritual. And having a set of activities and engagements across the month that's going to elevate these concepts, but also show the work that the Biden-Harris administration is doing to make people's lives better, to make Black people's lives better, to make us more well holistically.
Let's talk about that. I'm glad you brought up ASALH. I was going to go into that, and they're recognizing achievements of like Charles Drew. But I'm just going to, since she's with us, Dr. Kizmika Corbett behind the Moderna vaccine. It's funny when we look at the achievements of African Americans in this field, but we juxtapose that against the disenfranchisement of Blacks in healthcare and in the wellness space and the disadvantages that we see. How is the administration planning to even tackle that and even more? Because COVID, as we know, has just, so really made us see the disadvantages even more in our community.
Absolutely. I think that, COVID has laid bare the healthcare gap is laid bare, the racial wealth gap. And so what we're going to do is point out what has been happening in this administration to tackle these things. On the physical wellness side, the efforts that we've had with COVID-19, particularly those to really make sure that we market and push getting vaccinated to communities that are suffering from it the worst. And then also elevating the achievements of these Black healthcare professionals who have been on the front lines across the country. But also we're gonna really take a look at mental wellness. That's an area where there's some stigma in the Black community, and something that's gotten harder for really all of us in COVID-19 and having to deal with what's come with it. And so the Biden-Harris administration has been very aggressive in making sure to fund and to allocate and to make sure that we have supportive mechanisms in place to lift up these issues. We're going to have the director of SAMHSA, which is our mental health and substance abuse office in the administration, to be a part of some of our programming where we talk about mental health. And so we're just going to continue to make sure that we're putting the resources behind Black physical and mental wellness as we go forward in this administration.
The president is facing an historic appointment with the first African American female to sit on the high court. Can you tell us where he is in the process, how the administration is even preparing for some of what we're already seeing, some of the pushback, because he has come out and he has said on the campaign trail that he would nominate a Black woman to sit on the Supreme Court?
Well, it's an excellent opportunity to get a tremendously qualified, excellent jurist onto the court. And when the president came out and talked about it, he talked about it in that way that he's going to find the most qualified uh, jurist who he can find to be a member of the Supreme Court. This is going to happen to be a black woman. And so over the years of the Supreme Court and of this country, we've never seen a black woman nominated, and so I think it's something to be celebrated. I think the diversity of thought and experience is always something that's vitally important in our community, and so the president is going to do you know a, a deep dive into his work with this. As you know, he was formerly the chairman of the Senate Judiciary Committee, so he knows this work extremely well, extremely intimately, and so he'll go through and follow all the traps, and then ultimately pick the person who's going to be best qualified to serve on the court.
On this statement, in the statement that was put out by the White House, it said that the president says, "We will not rest until we have protected the foundation of our democracy, the sacred right to vote." Now, we know that the president has been in a battle with the right in trying to push forward the voting rights legislation. Is that something? How hopeful? We've heard the president say he's not sure what's going to happen with that. But are we going to see new ways of him kind of hammering down on this right to vote?
I think that's something that we work on every single day. Both the president and the vice president, uh, they feel the same way that the statement says. This is the right that opens up the other rights. The fact that the president will have the opportunity to nominate a Supreme Court justice is based out of the right to vote, and so I think it's of the highest priority for us here in the administration. And so we're just going to continue to work with the Senate, work with our partners in Congress to come up with a solution because it absolutely must be done. The right to vote has to be protected.
The president, lastly, the president in the statement also went down the list, and it's one thing to see it all together of historic appointments that he has had while he has been in office thus far. What are some of those historic appointments? We absolutely know the Vice President Kamala Harris. What are some of the other historic appointments?
Well, and it's funny. I was watching TV before we started, and there was almost a split screen where you had Secretary Lloyd Austin, the first black man to be the Secretary of Defense, and then you had Linda Thomas Greenfield, who is our ambassador to the United Nations, currently on the world stage talking about what's happening in Ukraine. We have two black people leading this, and I couldn't be more proud. But when you look through the administration and you see Susan Rice in the Domestic Policy Council, you see Cedric Richmond, who I work for, in the Office of Public Engagement, and Michael Regan with the EPA, Marcia Fudge as the Secretary of HUD.
Yeah.
There's across the government so many stories of people who, when you look back on it, where we came from and how we got here is such an improbable story, but now it's across the board. And so I think we have a lot to be proud of in terms of the people that are here. The president, when he first started, said he wanted an administration that looked and felt like America. And this is America. I recognize it when I look around every day.
Thank you so much, Trey Baker, for joining us, White House Senior Advisor for Public Engagement. We look forward to having you back to On the Record.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. Thank you. Have a good day.